and all questions you may have. All right, so let's just go. So we'll be looking at the installation of the plugin and setting it up, and basically all around everything you need to know about the lovely plugin and what it does and why it does what it does, and possibly things that we can look into going into the future. But for now, we'll switch over to the coding view where you can see my Simhub. Simhub currently, as you can see, does not have the lovely plugin installed. It's nowhere to be seen. I do have the latest versions of the dashboards, which you will download, and you will know where to find them, obviously. But what we want to do now is install the lovely plugin. Now, the lovely plugin can be found currently only in the Discord for members, but in the future, towards the end of September, mid-October, I want the public version of the plugin to coincide with ADAC Expo. So it'll be maybe a week earlier than that. You will be able to find all of the downloads on the brand new website. So if you visit lsr.gg in about 2-3 weeks from now, you will find everything there, all the files to download, including the plugin, right? So I won't show you where you're going to download it now. It's in the private Discord. So you go there, you download the plugin. The plugin file, it's just a file. It's a DLL file, lovelysimracing.plugin.dll. How do you install it? First thing and most important, shut down. I'm going to shut down completely from my taskbar, closing Simhub. So once Simhub is completely closed, we're going to open our little finder. We're going to go to our C drive, program files x86, and go and find the Simhub folder. That's it. This is the root folder of Simhub. All you need to do is take the plugin, the file, drop it in here. That's it. Close it and relaunch Simhub. It's as simple as that. Now, when Simhub launches, so I closed Simhub so you can see like a few things on the top corner not working. So when you launch Simhub, you will see this little window automatically. Found a new plugin. Do you want to enable it? Yes. And most importantly, show in the left main menu. Turn that on again and hit OK. When you do that, it kind of internally restarts Simhub, and the lovely plugin is right over here. And that's it. That's all you need to do to install the lovely plugin. Now, of course, you will also have downloaded the latest version of the dashboards, which support the plugin. Now, if you didn't have the plugin installed and you have the latest version, on the plugin I have notifications that you definitely need the plugin, and you definitely need an X version of Simhub, and so forth. So I have all of that information in here, inside of the actual dashboard. Now, one of the most important things, and I will go through all of the options, or at least skim through the options if necessary. The plugin now supports memberships, and this is important for the development, for the whole dashboard ecosystem to survive as a product. I have been contemplating a lot on how memberships will work within the plugin, and what features will exist and what not. What I decided, after consultation with friends and other sim racers, that there are a few things that are over and above, so they are good to have, but they're not required for the dashboard, and other parts that I will not touch. They will always be there. So the first thing, that if you are a non-paid member, the first thing you will notice is everything here will be fully featured. Everything works, and I will go through these, but I just want to go through the stuff that will not be available if you're not a paid member. So if you go to the modules, and this is the screen where you select left and right modules for every side, basically for every game and every side, left and right. If you're a non-paid member, you can select up to 3 on either side. What does this mean? So on the left-hand side of the dashboard, you want to have your lap times, you want to have your tires, and your tire average. Once I click this, the third one, everything else locks out. This has been done basically to maintain usability of the dashboard, even as a free version. That has been my promise ever since the beginning. So even as a free version, you will be able to use it, but you will have a limit up to how many MFMs on either side you can use. I've tested this in this configuration, and it works really fine. So there's not so much of a limit. Yes, it's good to have them all, but then you'd have to become a member. And memberships, again, start from €1 per month. And you have this. Any paid membership unlocks the entire plugin. It is important to understand. There's no pro or gold or starter. All paid memberships unlock the plugin. Other tiers add other products. So the pro has the pit wall. That's it. But if you're a paid member, you unlock everything. So this is one of the limitations. So once you select a third one, everything else locks. You can select any which one you want. Nothing is forbidden. Each game has specific MFMs that don't work. So in Assetto Corsa Competizione, you do not have status. This is not a limitation. It's just we don't have that information in Assetto Corsa. If you got iRacing, for instance, you don't have tire average, damage, and status. You can't select these. And if you go to Formula 1, you basically have every single one. So you have everything available. But again, there's a limit up to 3, only 3 options if you are not a member. And this is one thing that won't be available to non-members. And the second thing that will not be available is the online platforms. So if you're not a member, you will not have the option to view your next race in low fuel motorsport, pit skill, racecraft, and SimGrid, which is upcoming. This will just not be available. And I completely removed this feature simply because it's over and above. It has nothing to do with the actual dashboard, the actual telemetry, and all the features. This is just something that's really good to have. It does have some maintenance and cost behind it because these are APIs, and if something fails, you have to have a failsafe, whatever and whatnot. So this feature will only be available to all paid members. Again, there are no tiers here. If you are a paid member, you unlock everything in the dashboard. Now, how do you unlock everything in the dashboard? I'll just go over to the membership tab. If you are not a member, this is what you will see, basically. It just gives you all the information, what you get. So multifunction modules, if you become a member, you have them all. You can connect to platforms. There's a new feature with the animated idle screen. So if you guys have seen the Tony Kanaan edition dashboard, that animation in the beginning, I'm trying to get that as a feature in the dashboard. So again, this is over. It's not like it's not critical to the dashboard. It's just good to have. But what I'm going to add to that is you'll be able to customize it on the fly as well. So you will have like that nice animation that happens in the Tony Kanaan edition, but with your own colors as well. So that's what I'm working on right now, and that will be added at some point. And there's one more feature which I cannot release, cannot announce now unless I'm sure I can add it. There's one really big feature coming to the paid version. Again, all of these features do not take away anything critical to the usage and value of the dashboard itself. These are all over and above, and I've been promising that ever since the beginning. I will not cripple the dashboard in any way. So if you're not a member, you have a lot of information here of why you should become a member, and you have all the other, little bits and perks and pieces and everything. But if you are a member, any paid member, and you've gone through the process of signing up on Ko-Fi and connecting your Discord account, and you're all set, then all you need to do is hit the button connect to Discord, which will open. Let me bring this in front of you guys. Well, this basically just launches Discord, and all you need to do is just hit authorize. And when you hit authorize, it will tell you are connected to Discord now. And if you go back to the plugin, it tells you what membership you are as well. So it says you are a pro member, and it also just shows you the exact perks you have and whatnot. Now, if we go back to the other tabs in the plugin that were locked before, now online platforms are unlocked. And again, this is just over and above features of the dashboard. Modules, you can select as many as you want now. There's no limit to as many as you want. You can select these. And that's pretty much it regarding memberships. There have been cases where someone would click on the connect to Discord and it wouldn't work. I have no idea why this is happening. This is something in regards to Windows and how Windows handles it. Users have just suggested using a different browser. So as you can see, I'm using Chrome here, and it works perfectly fine. Some users say Chrome didn't work, Brave worked. Others say Chrome and Brave didn't work, and Edge worked. I don't know. We're looking into it, but I don't think it's something we can control. It might be an ad blocker. It might be some some proxy or whatever. I'm not entirely sure why this isn't working for all browsers, but for the most part it will work. I think it'll be okay, and if it doesn't, just select a different browser and you should be okay. Again, now that you're connected, when you close Simhub and open it up, it'll always remember, so you don't need to log in again. And let me show you one more thing. Let me disconnect. So now I'm not connected anymore. Let me pull up the dashboard, because now I'm going to show you a few things on the dashboard as well. Let's put that there. I'm going to make it a bit bigger as well. That's it. I want to show you a few more things. So this is pretty cool now. You can see this is the version that I'm working on now, 2.7.6.3. But you can see this is a non-paid version, right? I am not a member at this point. Let me do the connect to Discord again and pay attention over here in this part over here. So once I do the connect to Discord, let me show you guys again. When I hit authorize and it connects, look at this over here. The dashboard actually tells you what level tier you are, membership. So if you're a starter, pro, or gold. It's just a little detail here just to know that it's connected. So in case for whatever reason something happens and it disconnects, because this thing has it's got tokens and refresh tokens in the background that's working constantly every time you open Simhub, and it checks the connection and whatnot. So if you unsubscribe, if you are not a member anymore, when you launch Simhub, it'll check, and it'll check in between as well. So it'll remove the token, the access and everything. You can see that in the dashboard. So if you open up your dashboard for whatever reason and it doesn't say your membership, that means it's not connected. So you know that something's wrong there and you can fix it. But now that we have this, let's go on and just take a look at all of the options that we have. So yeah, I mean the obvious one. You can turn your number on and off. You can do your name on and off. You can change your name, your number to whatever you want, obviously. 33 is not for Max Verstappen. It's a completely different number. I actually had the number 33 before he even was born, I guess, but whatever. It just coincides. You can also change the color. Let me grab my color here in hex because I don't want to lose it. But you can also just say, you know, I want blue, I want red, you want fuchsia, or whatever this is. You can change the color of the number to whatever you want. My color is this nice blue. Same thing for the name, and you can also do the same thing for the background. So you can completely turn off the background, and you can see the changes that I'm making in the plugin are live on my dashboard. I can turn it on again, and then I just need to basically, where is it? I need to find it now. Give me a second. Here. Folder, files. There it is. Hit open, and there's the image. You can use any image you want. It'll just be there. So for the next few things, let me just turn up a replay. So we have this thing running. Give me a second. Good. So we have a replay now. Ignition off. We'll go through all of these things, or at least most of them. So this, so these options over here, everything you see here actually existed before. These are not new. Like most of these things existed before. It's just that it's easy to change them now. So the UI brightness mode, you can change the lines to very low. So if you guys don't want to have those lines bright in your face or just don't want to see them that much, you can change them. I obviously like to have them on high. Depending on your device, you might want to have the corner radius different. So I always keep it very low because I like the sharper corners, but you can change it on the fly. And now it's rounded because some devices have rounded edges for the screen. So you can do that as well. This is something that has not been available, not in this form in the previous versions, but now it is. For the estimated lap time and deltas, you can select how and who calculates this information. So you have the default, which is the game information. You have Simhub functions coming from Simhub, and we also have the post-it note racing plugin information. And I'll get to this just a second. And you also have for driver gaps. So for driver gaps, we're using Simhub's functions or post-it note racing. Now, you can't select it. It's disabled because we haven't installed it. We haven't installed the post-it note racing plugin. So when you don't have it installed, you can't even select it. So let me just go and do that really quickly. I'm taking these things step by step. How do we install a plugin? We just pull up the folder, we go to the root, find Simhub. Where's Simhub? In the root of Simhub, this is the Post-it Note plugin. Drag it and drop it in there. And that was pretty much it. And now when we launch Simhub again, we will see the exact same thing, installing it. And now you'll see the lovely plugin has the option to enable the Post-it Note options there. Again, Post-it Note Racing, enable this, show in left menu, hit OK. It restarts internally. There it is, and now you also have the Post-it Note. Now, for the Post-it Note plugin, I have worked with Derek, so you don't need to do anything. This is drop in the folder and forget. There's nothing you need to do here. You don't. This is irrelevant. Turning on JavaScript or closing it doesn't do anything. You don't need to do it. You just need to install it. In the lovely plugin now, there it is. You have the option. This has been enabled now because it can see that there is the version installed. You can select it. Now, for me personally, I like Simhub for estimated lap time in Delta, but I do like Post-it Note Racing for the driver gaps. Let's pull up again a windowed mode here of the dashboard. There we go. And let's start a replay as well, because there are a few things here that are related to the replay. Good. Let it start. So, few things. Let's just go a bit forward here in the replay. Names of the other drivers. You can change its F and last name, first name, and then last name. And it's not updating here, obviously. No, something's not right. Of course there's something not right, but whatever. No. I'm not getting any love from my own plugin here. No, there's something wrong. I'm working on it, so it's probably something wrong. Anyway, you can change. I feel silly now, but it's just something I've been working on. You can change the way the name displays. Let me see. Is it local there? No, it's not working at all anywhere. So this is something I'll be working on. But anyway, you can change the first name, last name, how you format the name, and you can also put the first name and last name entirely for all of these things. Jeff, yeah, it's a bug, but it was working like... Actually, this is not showing anything. This is not returning anything. Maybe it's because I've been updating the stuff with... No. Yeah, I think I broke everything. That's interesting. Hold on a second. No, I completely broke it. Anyway, this will be fixed. This will be fixed. I'm not even stressed about that. So you can select your driver name. You can select map type mode. So map type mode is in what we just saw, which is ugly mode over here. You can select if you want the animated or the static mode. I don't know why this is happening now, and it's bugging me, but I'm not going to do any debugging right now. I have no idea why this is happening. But anyway, again, let's not digress. You can select the map mode. So the map type mode, you select on the big screen here what kind of map mode you want. But you can also select on the MFM map mode. So in the MFMs, we also have, I haven't enabled. See, there's something completely wrong with my JavaScript right now. So please disregard any bugs. I moved everything around, so let's not, yeah, I'm angry at myself right now, but anyway. So you can select MFM map type modes for the MFM maps, animated map zoom effect. These are all features that existed in the previous one, but now you just can drag and drop or click and select everything. So animated map zoom effect is the faster you're going on a track, the more the map zooms out. So if you're using the animated map in any of the two screens, so either the MFM or the main screen, you can increase this number so it zooms out even more. The faster you're going, the more it zooms out. 30 is a really good number, nice balance, but you can change this as well. Enable virtual RPM. Again, you can see the RPM bar working. You can have flags which aren't working because my JavaScript is screwed up, but I will fix it. This is probably something really simple. Night mode here, you can turn it on and off. Night mode is, it dims the dashboard slightly whenever you turn on the lights. So whenever you turn on lights, it dims the dashboard just a bit. In the beginning here, let me go over here. So you can see ignition off. You might not want to have this screen. If you turn it off, you can see the full dashboard without having the ignition off. So when your ignition is off, you can see this, but I prefer this for more realism and less brightness. So if you have your ignition off, this is basically what you see. Another thing that has been added is the clutch mode here. So you can either never see the clutch. The clutch is, let's just see where we can actually see the clutch. There it is. Let's go to 0 there. Pause. Clutch mode is right there over here. So here it just shows you how much clutch is engaged. So 100% clutch engaged. If you don't want to see this ever, just turn this off. So you will never see your clutch. But if you do want to, you have the option of showing it when it's engaged and not. So if you can see this, once it goes to 0, it will hide it. Once it starts. All right, it's gone. But if I hit always on, it will always show me my clutch value. I always have it on when engaged because it's pretty much, that's the important bit for me. And now true dark mode. So true dark mode. This has been improved heavily because now we have a UI, and we also added one more feature. So true dark mode is when you can convert the entire dashboard into a version. It's not theming. I'm being very specific. It's not about theming the dashboard. It's about making it work better at darker environments. So when you're racing at night with low light, it's best if the dashboard isn't so bright and so annoying, so you can change its color. So I have true dark mode enabled, obviously. True dark mode has two ways you can activate it. Again, previously this is the same thing, hasn't changed, but now it's in the UI. It's a lot easier to enable. There's native activation. This is depending on the car and the game you are in. So native activation works on the second light stage. So in ACC, if you have an endurance car or endurance livery, it also has to do with the livery in ACC, which has two light stages. First light stage would activate the night mode, so it would dim the dashboard, nothing more. And then the second light stage would trigger true dark mode. So it would go into one of these 4 colors. And you can select this color from here. Now, if you don't want to have it natively and only manually trigger it, you can set a hotkey over here that triggers the night mode. So I have a button in my on my wheel that's mapped to trigger the true dark mode. So if I click on it, everything turns dark, and you can see these 2 MFMs are not working because there's a problem with the MFMs, which I will fix. Don't get mad at me. I can just press a button. I've mapped it here. I'm using control mapper, so for you this mileage may vary. You might use control mapper or not. This is not part of that conversation. How you trigger it is just, change. You can just capture the button over there. So I just click on it and I trigger it on and off, right? One thing, so if I hit blue and I trigger it, now it's going to be blue. If I hit purple and trigger it, it'll be purple. I can change it just by clicking on the color. But in this version, we've also added the toggle. So I have mapped another button on my steering wheel where without touching the mouse or changing within the plugin, I can just have a long press. So when I long press, it just goes through all the colors. So you can change the color while you're driving. This was a request. I couldn't do it before. It was a bit too cumbersome and not too easy to implement. But now, as you can see, it's implemented fine. And you just set a hotkey. Anything you want. It could be a direct hotkey. You can be using control mapper. It doesn't really matter. You just set the hotkey in here. Then we have the tire lap averages. This is not working here, obviously, because there's something broken, but I'll fix them again. You can set how many laps you'll be counting for the tire lap average. So it goes from 1 all the way up to 5. 2 is a really good number. And there's also a reset key here. Again, you can map it, where when you click on it, it basically resets the data for the average lap tire data. So, there's a set of data that records pressure, temperature, and brake temperature as well. And it keeps an average over 2 laps. And sometimes you might crash, you might go into pits, and it has the 2-lap average. You don't want that. You want to start counting again. You just hit that button and it deletes everything, and you start gathering new information. So there's a hotkey for that as well. And yeah, finally we have all the alerts. So we have lap review alerts. You can turn them on and off. So every time you cross the finish line, it gives you an alert. You have the option to see this in practice and quali or always, or you completely turn it on if you want. And all of the alerts also have a delay time. So the lap review lasts 3,500. That's 3.5 seconds. These are milliseconds. So 1,000 is 1 second. And I'm leaving it in thousands because it's a lot easier to just take it up and down in the thousands than having it 3.5. Lap time delta review alerts, again the same thing. I have descriptions here for everything, so it's easy just to read them and understand them. The alert views, the alerts that pop up on the screen when you change your traction control or ABS or anything, you can turn them on and off, and how long they stay on the screen, and also if you want them to be mini or wide. So I always have the mini, which is on the left hand side, but you can turn it to wide and it's nice and big. You have your damage alert, obviously, and you also have your pit limiter large screen. So if you want to see when you enable pit limiter, if you have this on, it'll just be a huge blue screen just covering everything and essentially covering the dashboard. And of course you also have the pit limiter warning. So once you're in the pit lane, the UI turns blue. This has nothing to do with pit limiter. This is just a way for you to know if you are in the pit lane or not. So you can do that as well. And obviously analytics, if I just dropped my mouse. So if I close this, a lot have been asking analytics. It is Google Analytics, and all it tracks is the behavior of how you're using the dashboard. It's completely anonymous, obviously. It's Google Analytics. All it's giving back is how many people are using it, and what screens are being used, what MFMs are mostly being used, and mostly information on how the dashboard is being used by you. Everything is completely anonymous. I have no idea who you are, so if that was a question you might be asking, these are Google Analytics. So the same thing, you'd go to a website. But since this isn't the website and I can't ask for cookies, there's a little button down here. If you don't want to use this, you hit that button, it turns red. No more analytics are being connected. It's dead, right? I'd appreciate if you leave it on, but it is completely up to you if you guys want to turn it on or off. Now that's pretty much it for the settings of the dashboard. Again, a lot you can do here, and everything is so much easier, I think. I won't look at the chat right now. I'm going to go and answer everything after this because I want to keep this video on its own. But let's move on to the MFM modules. So when you're in the MFM modules are the modules left and right of the dashboard. Per game, you can select different modules. So for Assetto Corsa, I usually have my tires, tire average, and what else I have on the left-hand side, standings and relatives, and I sometimes put the map, right? So you can select what modules you want to have available on the left and on the right, and you can also select here which one will be the default one. So when you launch the game, this is what you will see on the left hand side. On the right hand side, I have my lap times, sector times, and I usually have the opponent's class and track opponents. And by default, I have the lap times. Again, you can go through this, and for each game you can set different MFMs. Each game has different set of modules. They're not always the same. So again, as I said, iRacing doesn't have tire average, doesn't have damage. Automobilista doesn't have damage, and this, yeah, you can just select which ones you want. If you are using the lovely overlay, specific dashboard for overlays, that dashboard on the left hand side has again its own MFM, and you can select any which one you want here depending on the game, obviously. So for Assetto Corsa you can set lap times, and for iRacing you can set sector times. It will remember it per game, so depending on what game you're running, you can select the module for the lovely overlay if you're using it. And finally, these are irrelevant of games. It's for the center modules and for the fuel, what you want to show as the default when you launch the dashboard. I have the first one, which is the standard one with a delta. There's one without any delta, just that. The one with a real-time clock, so you can actually see what time it is in real life, not the game. and one that shows the speed and the gear in a smaller one. I always prefer this. And again, this is for the fuel calculations and everything. I like to see what fuel I have remaining or what I need to refuel. But again, you can swap these out using functions and just you know, scroll through these using functions C and D, action C and D in Simhub. I will not go through that now, though. That's a different story. Online platforms. This is something that I had a lot of trouble getting through to how to use this in the past, but now it's a lot simpler. So online platforms, you have Low Fuel Motorsport, Pitskill, and Racecraft Online. Racecraft is, I think it's AMS2 only, but it is growing in popularity. I will be adding SimGrid as well. What you do here is you turn it on, you put your LFM ID, your Pitskill ID, or your Racecraft ID, and this was one of the main questions. How do I get that? Where is it? So I just, you know, conveniently added some instructions here. So you go to visit, it basically says just go to Low Fuel Motorsports, navigate to the profile page, and in the URL, that number you see, copy and paste it in here, and you're good. And the same thing for Pitskill, instructions, and Racecraft. So I've added all the instructions in here so you guys don't need to look around. If you guys use any of these services, turn them on and you can use them. Again, paid memberships only have access to the online platforms. One more tab that is actually pretty interesting is the Asher Racing for the Artura series steering wheels. If you do own one of these, you probably have seen a video that I created on how you set up the Asher Racing steering wheel with all the alerts and all the notifications you get within the dashboard. Well, here it's a lot easier to set your dials, the labels you see on the actually, if I start a replay and I haven't completely destroyed, okay, all right, let's just leave it running like that. So now you can see it's not working. Yeah, there's something, the actual MFMs have been completely borked, but I'll fix those later. Essentially is whenever you switch the dial, which is this dial over here, depending on what position you have it in, it gives you this label over here. So if you do have an Artura McLaren steering wheel and you are using these dials as modifiers, again, I have a separate video which is linked here, learn how to set it up, how you can do all this. But instead of having this in a text file and really hard to label things in here, you can just put them over here. And I only use the left dial, so I don't have anything in the right dial. But you can basically add the labels for either left or right. And that is pretty much what the plugin can do today. Again, with the membership, if you are a member, it unlocks the entire plugin. If you're not a member, the only limitations are you have up to 3 MFMs on either side to select, and you do not have access to the online platforms. And that is pretty much it for the lovely plugin.